Good morning, everyone. We are just waiting a couple of minutes, okay? Because people are still joining in. Good morning once again. We are just waiting. People are joining. So I will ask 2 minutes of your time. Thanks very much.
Estamos esperando, ¿no? Nos interesa mucho una...
Okay, I will slowly start. People are still coming in, but I don't want to be late either. I would like to welcome you all to this last CCRI webinar. My name is Tuğçe. I am your host today. I'm from the CCRI CSO, and I'm very happy to be your host today. And this is the last CCRI webinar of this year, which is also a special one because it marks the end of the first phase of CCRI. And of course, it is a perfect opportunity to look back, to revisit the journey, what we learned, also showcase a little bit of our pilot cities and regions who have been working with us in the last three and a half years now. 3 years ago, I was standing in one of these EU buildings in Brussels, and I was giving a presentation about the challenges our pilots were facing in transitioning to circular economy. Today, I don't think we can resolve all of these challenges, but we hope we made some progress and learned some things along the way. And hopefully, this will be benefit to others. And this is the point of this webinar. Next slide, please. So a couple of rules before we begin. Your cameras are off and you're muted by default. Please, if you want to take the floor, you're welcome. You can unmute yourself and you can also show your face if you want. But I have to say this is recorded and it will be put online later. So if you don't want to be seen, you should keep your camera off. If you're shy, that's also fine. You can write in the chat. That's very valuable. Ideas, suggestions, insights, something that pops to your mind as we discuss. So it's not going to get lost. Okay, so don't hesitate to put it in the chat. Next slide, please. So we have a nice agenda for you today. We'll be together 2 hours. This is a bit of a challenge, and I want you to bear with me because we have 12 pilots. It's simply not possible to give them the floor, all of them. So we did the selection based on availability. We wanted to provide you a diversity of cases and insights. The rest is not lost. You will find them in more detail, obviously, than today in the upcoming publications of CCRI. We want to make sure that we keep on time. So please, I rely on all of you. If you take the floor, your comments, questions, please try to be concise so we can move smoothly. Lucy Blondel will open today's discussions. She will talk about what CCRI initiative means in today's particular policy landscape. And then I will walk you through all the circular systemic solutions. That's how we call our projects in the CCRI universe. I will walk through them all with you to give you a very brief idea of what they are. And it's a very scratching the surface because, like I said, there's a lot of details and things
There's a
to
lot of
learn.
details.
So yeah, sorry, I had an echo there. Can we mute everybody else? Thank you. Then we have the first panel discussion with 3 pilots, all very different from one another. And we will focus on their journey with CCRI and their learnings, and maybe they will have some tips for the other regions and cities which might be part of the CCRI in the future. Then we have a Q&A. You can ask your questions in the chat or raise your hand, like I said. The second panel discussion is more about the project themselves. So we will dive into a bit of more detail about some of the circular systemic solutions. I will have some questions for our guests to explore those insights from these projects for 4 different pilots. We group them roughly into 2. One is more focusing on construction and reuse of building materials. The second looks at a more horizontal approach and stakeholder engagement and capacity building. We still have another Q&A after that, so we can make some time for all the audience to comment if they wish. Then I will give the floor back to Lucy to say the last words, and then we talk about what's coming up, and we will say goodbye. Next slide, please. So first, we dive into the day. Let's say we have an icebreaker for you. We have 2 questions. The first is an open one. Okay, we want to hear from you. I know that there's a lot of new names and faces in the webinar today. We want to know what CCRI CSO means or meant to you now or in the last 3 years. Maybe you were a pilot or a fellow. Maybe you were a project interacted with CCRI. Or maybe you were just looking from a distance, or maybe you don't know anything about it. That's also fine. That's maybe sort of the point of today's webinar as well. So please write in 1 word what CCRI means or meant to you. I'm looking at the results already. Interesting words. Of course, community comes up. Bridge, very nice.
Crocodile.
Crocodile. Okay, why not? Why not? Let's write us why a crocodile in the chat. What else do we have? Development, a journey, yes. Collaboration. I think this is sort of maybe the heart of it, right? Like exchanging, community building, working together, and knowledge sharing as well. Peer learning, of course. I'm gonna wait 30 seconds more to see if something else coming up. Systemic transformation, of course, this is very important. The most challenging part as well. Progress, yes. Result dissemination, also linked to peer learning, I think capacity building, so very good. Hope, that's very important as well. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on because we are already behind. Another question, that's time, it's multiple choice. You can choose as many as you want. How, if the CCRI helped you, your city and region organization in the last 4 years? Networking comes up very strongly. Visibility also. how many people? 12 people have voted. Of course, it's not so much, but another 10 seconds. A very strong preference for networking, I can see. Inspiration. Okay, let's move on. With this, I would like to pass the floor to Lucy Blondal from DG Research and Innovation. We have been working side by side, and it was nice to have you as a colleague. And please, the floor is yours. Let us know.
Thank you, Tuxe, and it's of course a pleasure for me to be here as well. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's great to see so many of you still connecting with our pilots, partners, project representatives who have been part of this CCRI journey for quite many years now, but also newcomers eager to know more about what we have done so far. So welcome, and I hope that you will stay connected after this webinar. As Tuxe said, it's a special moment for us. It's not. It's only the end of the beginning. I would like to say we are closing the first phase, but soon kick-starting the second phase. And we have a lot to share today. Stories demonstrating how circularity looks like in cities and regions on the ground. I think we are proud to say that we have now a clear understanding what cities and regions actually still needs also to move forward. So one thing has become quite clear over the last years is that circular economy is no longer a niche agenda, but not yet easy. I think we have seen a growing appetite from local and regional authorities to take the circular path. And at the same time, we have received a lot of echo that yes, circularity remains complex and requires a systemic endeavor. It cuts indeed across policy areas, value chains, governance levels. It requires cooperation that doesn't always come naturally. But more and more cities and regions have joined this CCRI adventure and recognize circularity as a key enabler to reach their broader objectives, building local resilience, strengthening value chains, reducing dependencies on critical materials, contributing to the EU decarbonization agenda. So what our pilots have shown us is, I think they're together the best proof that circularity can happen, but needs to be tailored to the local context. You will see later during this webinar that there are no two pilots who started at the same point. They all face somehow different pressures, different capacities, different political contexts, and different ecosystems. And yet, each of them has made remarkable progress developing systemic solutions in construction, bio-based value chains, materials management, circular procurement, industrial symbiosis, and many more areas. I want to sincerely congratulate all our pilots. I've recently read the solution booklets that will soon be published and introduced, and I must say that what has been achieved in just 3 years is truly impressive. It's not always straightforward. There were ups and downs for sure, requiring redesigning and readjusting, but your work shows that circularity can move really from vision to practice and from vision to reality. I think one of the main strengths of the CCRI has been its ability to embrace this diversity, to offer tailored support depending on each pilot's maturity, challenges, and ecosystem. And we could not have done this alone. Our CCRI office, projects, partners have been critical, of course, for providing experts input, sharing methodologies, offering hands-on advice, peer learning opportunities, but also for developing knowledge resources that can now be used far beyond this pilot group. So clearly there is a strong ecosystem in place now, ready to support cities and regions even further. I can also, of course, mention our partnerships with the EIB, the Circular City Center, but also our PDA projects, providing project development assistance, because they have, of course, helped us a lot and helped cities move closer to investment readiness, a major achievement that should not be underestimated. So over this period, CCRI has become a recognized pillar within the EU ecosystem as well. Synergies with the city's mission, the adaptation missions, the new European Bauhaus and the regional innovation valleys are growing steadily. And this synergies will definitely deepen in the future. You will see, if you haven't already seen, that there will be joint calls for projects under the next Horizon Europe work programs to really consolidate this and provide an even more structured landscape for supporting cities and regions. And with the new EU agenda for cities, of course, this can be even stronger. From the Commission perspectives, we also see circularity definitely gaining stronger political and regulatory recognition. Legislations coming up or under negotiation will strengthen even more key parts of the system. Can only mention the Circular Economy Act to come, the new bioeconomy strategy that is now already out there, the Industrial Accelerator Act, the Biotech Act, the Advanced Materials Act. It's actually quite many legislation pieces that will come in addition to the update of the environmental omnibus to strengthen all this. And what is striking is how closely CCRI pilots have already anticipated somehow key priorities of this legislation documents when it comes to secondary materials market, circular public procurement, industrial symbiosis and SME support. So actually the CCRI cases are now serving as evidence and as inspiration for what needs to be strengthened in what will come next. So this on-the-ground solutions make the CCRI really a real test bed for this EU policy implementation. So today is not only about celebrating achievements, it's also about learning from these real experiences. I look forward to hearing directly from our pilot representatives what has worked, what didn't, what we must improve, of course, as we move into the next phase. So with that, let me thank you again for your commitment and pass the floor back to our host to continue the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very important remarks. Also the strategic vision, the view. We will go to now the slightly difficult task of me summarizing this very varied circular systemic solutions. I need to stress that, like Lucy was saying, each of these pilots have come a long way and they had different starting points. Some of them have very measurably quantitative results. Some of them are more diffuse results. So we are not presenting the results here, but we want to just give you an idea of what the work has been and what is it also in progress. As you know, these interventions are never complete or achieved. They're always in the making. I need to say we will ask in the end which ones are the most relevant for you. So think of it as Eurovision. Write down the number that is more relevant for you, for your context, because it will be very difficult to show you again all of the 12 in a slide. We tried, it didn't work. So if you want to vote at the end for our poll, try to make sure that you write down the number or the name, of course, at least of the pilot project and city or region. So we are going in alphabetical order. You can go to the next slide. Let's start with Asker, Norway. So we put a visual for each of the CSS. When I say CSS, maybe I should quickly explain. This is a circular systemic solution. So the idea is going beyond pilot projects, but having a systemic impact. And this is how we call these projects, initiatives, or whatever the pilots are working on CSS, okay? And we put a visual and a brief explanation and some keywords also to give you more ideas about what this is all about. So Asker Norway, they're working on establishing a comprehensive system to enhance circularity in construction and reuse of building materials. They have a pilot project, which you can see on the slide. They are renovating a specific building, and this is used as a laboratory to learn from the process. So they have many interests here: how to procure, how to make an inventory, what is taking out, how to standardize the materials that can be reused, how to label them, how to store them, and how to find them suitable buyers, and so on. So this is, like I said, a quick recap. Next slide, please. Second, we are going to Kapanori. Kapanori is a leading city in separate waste collection and zero waste. They have a very high separate collection from households and similar. Now they are really going for the last mile. This is how I call it, because they're exploring the options to valorize what is remaining in the residual bin. As we all know, the biggest share is made of sanitary products at this point, because we are already separating organic waste, textiles, and so on. So they're working on finding ways to valorize this segment, this stream, through recycling. They're also working on some structural transformation of their old pulp industries, the paper industry in the region. We can go to the next one. Castilla y León, Spain. So they have been working on a holistic approach to bioeconomy. They're tackling the issue of dependence on imported fertilizers, because they have a lot of resources in the region which can be used as fertilizer by valorization, for instance, through composting and recovery. So they're putting this in place with a roadmap, stakeholder engagement, feasibility studies, investment in composting plants, business models, and so on. Very important point here is that they are very smartly combining several different EU-funded projects as well as CCRI to move forward this plan. Next slide, please. Fourth, we have Flanders, Belgium, which is another pilot working on circular construction. They had a more overarching idea of integrating circular economy within the local climate and energy plans. This is still the case, but now they focus their attention on a pilot project, which is a renovation. Hello? Innovation of a building. And just like Asker, they're using it to learn from the experience to develop a guidance document for municipalities. So this guidance will help municipalities to put a similar process on their own. So we are really looking at capacity building in the long term, long-lasting impact, bringing all the small municipalities, not only working with the usual suspects, so really expanding the impact to the entire region. Next, we can go to Göteborg. Thank you. This is a bit more abstract since you don't see any buildings or rubbles or anything like that. They have been working on an initiative called Circular Transition Arena. It is a collaborative platform, and it brings together businesses, municipalities, and other relevant stakeholders. One of the most important aspects of this project is about providing guidelines and supporting the city administration so they can be more circular, be it in reusing some of their own furniture, be it in a circular public procurement. So they build capacity and understand, how things work. Look at the right people, find the right people, build up the right procedure, so the city itself can become a circular customer by 2030. There is a very strong element of stakeholder engagement here, as you know, because circularity, even public procurement, requires this multi-stakeholder approach, such as a market dialogues, which Göteborg was doing successfully. 6 pilots. We are going to south once again, Guimarães, Portugal. They're also working on a bio-waste related issue. They have a citywide strategy, gradually expanding to the whole city. So it will collect biomass, organic waste from many diverse sources, such as schools, households, universities, canteens, and so on, to use all of this as fertilizer. Again, there's a strong element here about awareness raising and really working with the citizens, because as you know, they are very important in such a process. Next is Helsinki Uusimaa Circular Hub. Um, it is also a more horizontal approach. It can be thought as an ecosystem developer, an accelerator, putting together businesses, municipalities, research institutes, really acting as an orchestrator between all of these people to create momentum for innovation and to build projects together. The basic idea is that, there are many innovative projects happening, but someone has to have a helicopter view and together put these people together to find synergies. They're also helping in this process municipalities to make their pledge to become circular and climate neutral. Moving to Germany, Munich. Here we find a CSS tackling the problem of single-use plastics, particularly from restaurants and the like. The administration is working on a citywide take-back system, which is going to help the catering industry to access reusable alternatives instead of single-use containers. This project has also a big citizen engagement component as well as a big infrastructure development, as you can imagine. Next, we go to Podravje Maribor, Slovenia. They also have a bioeconomy-focused CSS. They are tackling the problem of environmental degradation due to intensive farming in the region, but also there's a lot of biomass and waste that can be used as organic fertilizers, for instance. So they're working on interesting, innovative products, such as a unique soil substitute for land remediation made from sediments and fertilizer that is suitable for farmlands and raised gardens. I should also say that this project has a very important stakeholder engagement dimension because it has been reaching out to hundreds of stakeholders in a way that hasn't been done before in the region. Number 10, next one is my personal favorite, Roubaix, France, which has a special approach that has been very interesting since the beginning, at least to me. Roubaix is a post-industrial city with lots of legacy from the old manufacturing days. So they have lots of empty spaces, and they are using the spaces as incubators for circular economy, to give space to SMEs, to create space for community so that residents and also entrepreneurs can come together and build this new future. They're also renovating these places physically, so literally giving them a second life, but with a low-tech approach, creating work, creating employment, using artisanship, and thinking really about the social dimension of circular economy. We are going to north for the last two. Tampere, Finland, with the Tampere Region Circular Economy Development Center. The visual only depicts one of the pilot projects. This is a bit smaller, similar to the umbrella approach, like that of Helsinki. So they are working on an operational model for circular economy, which is basically a dedicated support team for municipalities who would like to work on this topic of circular economy. And they have three focus areas, which are buildings, as you can see, infrastructure development, and industrial material flows. This is also about facilitation, helping the municipalities to connect with the right people and alleviate some of their challenges, for instance, anxiety around public procurement rules. Last one, but not least, we are in Uppsala, Sweden. This particular CSS is also about circular construction. This is, again, a pilot project, a learning opportunity, which is going to serve as a marketplace, a storage, and much more for circular building materials. You can see the depot on the picture. They are testing this approach. The municipality provided the building, and they are storing materials, redistributing them, matchmaking between the supply and demand, and so on. So another construction-focused project combining many of the different elements. So this is all 12. Let's see how much you can remember now. Our next Slido poll asks you which is you think is more relevant or most relevant for your context at the moment. Only one answer right now. Maybe people have a problem accessing. I don't know. Ah, there it comes. Pilots cannot vote for themselves. Very good. I guess it takes some time also to people to navigate this long list. I can only see the top 4. Okay, I guess it's also reasonable to assume that each of them will be, relevant for a different context. Let's go to 25 votes. Okay, I think we can move on. You can continue voting, of course, if you want. So let's go to our first panel discussion. So we have 3 panelists for this one. Simo from Helsinki Uusimaa Regional Council, Hugo de la Haye from City of Roubaix, and Francisco Carvalho, Municipality of Guimarães. Thank you very much for being here. I don't see you. Maybe you can turn your cameras on, and we can go to the next slide. Thank you. So I just put the visuals again here to, to recap. It's very different, 3 different, very different CSS from one another. Helsinki Uusimaa is working on a facilitation approach that brings, stakeholders, businesses, municipalities together. They have some sectoral focus, but I would say it's mostly a cross-cutting one. Roubaix is doing something quite different, not in the sense that they don't put people together, but they have a low-tech approach, which is something that is different from Helsinki. And they are really working on a physical space, focusing on real physical spaces. And Guimarães, if I understand correctly, they have a much more operational focus. So really collecting waste, but their strategy is, focusing on one stream and also looking at a maybe more detailed step-by-step implementation of a strategy. So I want to welcome you all first, and thanks very much for making time. I want to start with the same question to all of you. So if you think back about 3.5 years ago now, when you applied for CCRI support, what was your expectation, or how did you imagine this community and the support would be like, and how did this come together with your project, with your CSS? Who would like to start?
If I may, so Simo Kareti from Helsinki Uusimaa region, and thank you very much for having me. And it's really nice to learn that our solution and hub is considered relevant for other regions and other developers as well. Our expectations and starting point, I think, have 2 points. First of all, CCRI, this was a completely new initiative for circular economy frontrunners or advanced regions, and as an innovative and entrepreneurial region with ambitious climate and sustainability targets, we at our region definitely wanted to be part of it as a pilot region, and wanted to be part of the brand and part of the community, to learn from others and the supporting organizations. And secondly, the region, we had prioritized the circular economy as a key area. We had a pre-study identifying key sectors, that had been done. So the natural next step was to engage in the building of ecosystem of stakeholders and working with sectors to identify the development points and building new initiatives. So I guess it was networking, visibility, and inspiration that were highlighted also in your question to the audience.
Thanks very much. Hugo?
Yes, for me, that at the beginning, we didn't really know what will happen during like these 3 years of CCRI. So our expectations were mostly yeah, we wanted to join like a much broader integrated ecosystem about circular economy. And so that's why also like we applied to this circular cities and region initiative, because for us it was a possibility to work with like other European frontrunners on circular economy. And so yeah, from our perspective, it was much more like yeah, the possibility to be visible, to exchange good practices, to access some tools that we won't have if we would have done this application to the CCRI.
Very good. It's slightly similar to what Simo is saying. Francisco?
Yeah, so I do agree in some points with my colleagues, with Simo and Hugo, what they mentioned. In our case, so there was this, we developed the Reciclo strategy in Guimarães, which was a strategy for circular economy, looking to specifically to the major issues that we have in terms of in a sectorial way in Guimarães, and looking, for example, to our mixed waste. Bio waste was one of the was the major contributor to the amount of mixed waste. So we decided that locally we would like to have this step-by-step approach in terms of sectors, and try to have a methodology that could help us that could be replicated, that we could apply, for example, to one sector, and maybe look to that as as an approach that we could transform as a systemic solution to be applied in other sectors as well. So this idea of joining CCRI was also trying to understand how could we develop a methodology locally that was being used at the European level, and also by other cities at the European level. How could you use that to have a strong methodology to apply locally to different sectors, knowing that we have the ecosystem that we have here in terms of the Guimarães governance ecosystem 2030 was established a while ago, but we needed to have this approach at and a methodology to use the ecosystem to apply that in the territory. Basically, one of the main goals and why we joined this program, and of course to have the best practice that were being used by other cities as well, because this was a program where we learned a lot, and with other cities, trying to see examples, projects that could help us to apply to our local context, and try to use that to grow as well as a city.
Okay, very good. So a bit more structural, maybe also trying to get this structural approach. Thanks very much. So I want to ask this question to Simo first. So this is the starting point. Here we are today. How did things go, sorry, and how was this journey? And when you look back, and how in your development, what was the role of CCRI? How did it support this process? And then I will ask the same question to Francisco. You're muted.
Now, is it better? Okay, right. So I think I have to confess that in the beginning we were a bit overwhelmed. We were a new project team, and the concept, as you explained, of our hub, it was really broad thematically, sort of cross-cutting across sectors, and had a lot of stakeholders involved and a lot of predefined objectives and planned activities at different levels. And sometimes we felt we were drowning into the multiplicity and all the networks and events and levels we were working with. But I think we got organized and we developed sectors from construction to food, plastics, textiles, electronics, and had a lot of events and development activities from local to regional and also national and international levels. So good presence in different forums. And sort of this being the case, we thought that the CCRI network and the CCRI methodology was really supportive, but I think that from our part we could have been even better prepared to engage the team and in receiving and digesting all the sort of technical guidance and tools and events and activities that were available for us. We also spent quite some time for thinking how can we ensure the sort of long-term continuity of our hub and the solution. So we were also involved in several project calls with unfortunately with limited success during the way. We benefited a lot from the network and the inspiration we got. Now the situation is that we're one of the European Circular Innovation Valleys, the part of the European dance floor, so to say, for circular solutions. And here in the region, we are working closely with the municipalities in helping them to build their own commitments for circularity, which was mentioned also in the context of Tampere-Pirkanmaa region. We are working with them, closely with them. And now we focus most on the construction sector, which already the pre-study identified as a key point of development, and we conducted a material flow analysis and detected the core stakeholders, and in collaboration with them, also the main drivers of change and potential impact for the region. As part of the National Green Deal process, we aligned the actions of different stakeholders and developed also part of the regional program, and finally a concrete project to execute 2 pilots. First one in a marketplace in building components or secondary building materials, and secondly a regional landmass coordination concept. Really practical pilots, and where we aim to engage our municipalities and also companies and developers. Maybe finally, at political level, we've been working in the region to develop a new regional program, which was actually approved this week by the main political body of the council. And that program really highlights that our solutions and choices have great potential, and I hope will be also interesting for other regions in Finland and Europe. So we hope that this network will be maintained and we can still continue exchange among each other. Thanks.
Thanks very much. I think that's the idea. And like Lucy was saying, it's quite remarkable, all of these things that happened in relatively short amount of time, you know. Thanks very much. What about Gimaresh? What do you think, Francisco?
Well, in our case, the journey was very incremental in terms of achievement. So I believe that that's what piloting is, right? So you are able to test things to understand what is going well or not, and to move forward in an incremental way. In our case, we used this even while expanding, for example, the way that we were selecting bio-waste in the territory in the radial manner, for example, using this systems that we use here, the pay as you throw system with a door-to-door collection, but also trying to test some financial schemes to support the ones that are supporting us with the bio-waste collection, with the save as you recycle system, for example, giving taxes back, because that was the only way to provide some economic incentives to citizens, reducing their taxes while paying their waste if they contribute to bio-waste collection. Just in a way that this approach helped us also to test this solutions to have this strong connection with the community at the local level. Also knowing that in the beginning, when we started, we had a very interesting results, but then the results were going down in terms of collection. So we had to strengthen our education and awareness campaign with I think I already told this story because the people from Guimarães are very connected with the local club, with the local football club. So we use this red, yellow card, putting on the bins so they could understand if they were collecting their bio waste well or not, knowing that this proximity work with the community helped us to move forward as well. Also, one thing that was very important in terms of support from CCRI was there were no dead ends. So while we were being, campaigned by our pilot companion, we were just, trying to provide some feedback on the achievements in terms of the goals that we had and so on. And every time there was something that looked like a dead end, there was this will of our pilot companion to let's try to solve. Who could we connect? And in this case, I have to say that this was very good for us, also to keep the momentum of keep thinking about the systemic solution, without knowing that we need to maintain maintain the pace to achieve what we want to achieve. So it was very good. Also, I was telling about the trying to test some of solutions, and it was difficult for us because at the national level we had some legal constraints, for example, with the Save as You Recycle system, and to have this European network supporting. Look, I know that at the national level we are a little bit behind, but at the European level we need to push our approaches at the legal level a little bit further. And it was good to see that as a city, as part of this network, we were able also to push this at the national level a little bit as well. So so this was a direct benefit, knowing that in Portugal right now, of course, we started earlier with the bio-waste collection, and of course we are the best in terms of achievements. We are the best performers in terms of collection and so on, knowing that this is also a responsibility to share with others the way that we are doing, but also to see that this network is helping us to move things a little bit further at the national level. And of course, the network also supported us to look to other projects. We have other projects looking to circular economy with other pilot cities and pilot companions and pilot cities, and also partners that we met during this journey. And one of these projects is trying to understand how can we use this circular systemic solution and replicate that in all sectors, for example, something that we are doing with the colleagues from Castilla-Leon in an Interact project. So it's showing how this network is helping us also to push forward in terms of funding, trying to help the city to develop further. And and I think that's it at our side.
Thanks very much. Something you said it struck with me. I think there is also the psychological support element. Like let's keep going. Let's not give up, because it's not always easy. Thanks very much for these valuable insights. Hugo, I kept the most difficult question for you. So when you think about the process, I think Francisco and Simon already shared a lot of insights, but the whole process, the development of CSS, your interactions with CCRI, getting the support, exchanging, when you think all of this, were there challenging aspects, and what was the most challenging maybe? And also to the other side of the coin, what helped the most with this process?
Yes, to be honest, when we entered the CCRI community, we did not expect that we would get all this support. For example, we had like a pilot companion, Pierre. Uh, we had like a lot of exchanges with him, so it was every month, or it can be every 2 weeks when it was necessary. And so it has been something that has been quite challenging for us in terms of like when you enter this kind of club, that's something that is really serious. You're gonna get a lot of resources, a lot of network, a lot of really valuable resources, tools. You're gonna get like some information on yeah, which kind of fundings you can apply to and so on. But in return, also we realize that it is also like to dedicate time for this. And it has been something quite challenging, but I mean challenging in a good way because we learned a lot. But that's something that also we realized because like the application for to the CCRI, it has been like something that has been requested by our elected representative. And when we applied to the CCRI and we got accepted, we had to organize ourselves also internally in terms of how we work as a team, like within the group administration, in order like to be really responsive and to be like as ready as possible for to develop activities and to have like some meetings with Pierre and so on. So that's something that has been quite challenging, but also on the really, I think for me it was like really valuable in a sense that we realized a lot of things during this year. Right? For example, in 2022, when we applied, or the beginning of 2023, I don't remember like which months, we had like a circular economy action plan, a strategy, but it was not a roadmap. And so because we had all this exchange with like the CCRI community during webinars, during like events in Brussels, Tallinn, or wherever in Europe, we realized that like a roadmap and a strategy and action plan is something that is much more structured. And so also that's why now that we are working with like the EIB and the Circular City Center. So I think that yes, it has been challenging, but like with really valuable help of our pilot companion and the CCRI community, we realize that we have a lot of resources and need to we just need I mean just need we can access to these resources if we allocate the right time for these activities.
Thanks very much. So this is important, I think, to be ready for the ones who are trying to have thinking about being part of this community. It's important to realize that there is some time to dedicate. It just doesn't fall, as a ready package. So you have to work on it as well. Thanks very much. I have one last question. This is for all of you. 2 minutes each, please. If you have to give a tip to the others who might go through a similar journey to make the best of this, the best of the sport, the exchange, what would that be? Let's start with Francisco this time.
Sorry, I was having some issues hearing.
No problem.
Can you please repeat?
Yes. So if you have to give a tip to the other citizen regions who might be involved with CCRI, if you think about your own experience, what would you recommend them to make the best of this process?
Yeah, thank you. And sorry about that. My phone connections are weird today. So so the best tip is don't look back. Join the network because it will benefit you for sure. But in terms of what should we keep in mind, so it's good that you try to map internally in your city who can help you and support you throughout the journey. because you will need this local ecosystem and network internally to also to be part of this network, and to make sure that you will respond correctly to the challenges that will be posed to you, and understand that it will be it will look. I think it was Simo that mentioned that in the or Ugo that in the beginning was a little bit overwhelming, but in the beginning it might look a little bit overwhelming, but it's also something that you will understand that will benefit, help you to benefit the most out of it. So make sure that you have people to be continuously dedicated to this, to have a continuous team of support, but also to have others around that can help you to solve some of the challenges that might come up to you. In our case, it was the way that it works. So the municipality of Guimarães has a dedicated technical team, but also a climate transition team and the landscape laboratory to support with the city with the green transition. So and it's basically a structure that is helping to with science-based decision making as well. So there was a dedicated team from the municipality and from this structure to continuously follow the at least the main challenges and the main structure of the work, look into the roadmap and so on. But then you need to have the map the other ones mapped around, and of course mapping is a part of your work, but to try to do that work previously will help you to have a stronger capacity to respond rapidly to the challenges that will come up throughout your journey.
Thanks very much. Hugo?
Yeah, I do agree with Francisco. I would say, yeah, don't be shy. Apply to CCRI.
This is a very good slogan that we can use. Don't be shy, apply.
Yeah, like for example, we could have, how can I say, Roubaix is not that such a big city, like in terms of population. At the beginning, we could have thought also, that's only for big metropolis, big metropolitan areas. That's not for us. But in fact, we realized that we did a lot of things before applying to CRI that were really valuable and that are still and that will be more valuable in the future. And so, I mean, it's not the question of the size of your city, the question of the size of your cluster or your region. Just apply. I mean, that's the best thing to do, the best thing you can do. And yes, I do agree also with Francisco. It's also necessary, like to know that that it takes time. I won't say a lot of time. It takes like an amount of time. And so if it's something that is like if your application is politically driven, but you don't have like the human resources behind to achieve the work and do everything, it's gonna be really difficult, and you're gonna lose a lot of time, and you're gonna also lose like the opportunity to access a huge amount of resources and tools. So it's gonna be a pity. And also something that I really liked during all this CCRI journey. For example, just before like the session started, I was joking with Francisco because we met during a CCRI session. Like I don't know when it was. I think it was like December 2023 or something like this. And we even shared a dinner and a beer with Francisco after the CCRI session. So I mean, that's also like a community where you're gonna meet a lot of people that have a lot of experiences in circular economy, that are really open-minded, and that are really curious about what you did, what you do, what you will do. And so, yes, don't be shy. That's a really good, like CRI, it was for us like a really good entrance to circular economy cities and region networks. For example, thanks to the CCRI, we joined a consortium for Northern Europe poll. So that's something that we won't have expected for the city of Roubaix like 2 or 3 years ago. But now, because we were in this network, we had like the opportunity to have like the good contacts, the good person to talk to to expand our circular economy, circular systemic solution.
Thanks very much. Simon?
Thank
What do
you
you
very
think?
much. Thank you very much. And very good comments from Francisco and Hugo. I totally agree. If I may, the first wish would go to the Commission. We've noticed, and in our view, bridging the multiple and different hubs across Europe, cities and regions and supporting organizations is really essential. And so maintain that, please. And also the stable and long-term funding for developing these regional ecosystems is essential if we want to drive the transformation across Europe. Then secondly, for other regions, I mentioned that we've had also this national process, a government-led circular economy Green Deal process to speed up implementation here. And we really find that one a good benchmark of aligning the practical actions of multiple stakeholders at different levels and also working with the municipalities. So that's could be interesting for others as well. Interesting approach. Third, I'd say plan ahead. Try to keep it simple. Focus, choose your priorities and make choices, and do not try to solve everything at the same time. And really try to make most of the network and learn from the best practices, and also make the most of the coordination and support office and ask for help with your challenges. And this really brings me to the last point. I'd like to warmly thank the European Commission and everyone else, peers and supporting organizations, everyone involved in the initiative, but especially our CSO contact point and our host today, Tugce, who has really was not only the most helpful and willing person to look for answers to our questions, to any question we might have had, but also, as we've noticed also today, very focused and systematic and to the point person guiding us on our journey. Thanks a lot, and really don't be shy. Apply.
Thank
It
you.
was a good
Thank you.
slogan.
Yes,
Thank you.
thanks very much. Thank you for the kind words. It's much appreciated. Yes, so the message I think we're getting is don't think too much. You will also go along the way and solve and understand along the way, but have an idea of what resources you can dedicate. Take it a little bit also seriously. Many thanks. We are a little bit behind. I am looking at the audience. If there is one question, how you can apply to the CCRI, this will come in due time. Don't worry, everything will be explained. Is there, if there is something else, any questions? If I don't see any hands. Hugo, yes, please.
Yeah, it's much more a remark. Even if you are not selected in the next CCRI, all the events are open. So I mean, it's not because you are not selected that you cannot come, because yes, it's a community that is like I mean, I understood it like this. It's an open community where like everybody is welcome if you are willing to get European more secular.
Exactly. Also, you can even today you can just subscribe to the newsletter, and then you'll start getting the news, and then you can be as active as you want. Basically, there are so few events that are only open to CCRI stakeholders. So there's one question for Simo. Simo, very quickly, is there a formal governance system for the Helsinki Circular Hub, and how does it operate?
Wow. Very quickly.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm terrible at doing the time police, but I have to.
We're governance-wise, we are part of the regional council, which is the regional intermunicipal authority, but we operate very much on a sort of quadruple helix framework in a public-private RDI organization cooperation as a facilitator, as a platform. Maybe that answers the question.
Thanks very much for being quick. Thanks to all three of you. It was quite interesting, and I think it's very important for others to learn a little bit from your experiences. With this, I want to give the floor now to other two panelists. We will start with Elmar and Mari Nokkan. You can move the slides, please. Also, we forgot. Thanks very much. Yes. So you can move on more. So we have two subgroups, let's say, and I wanted to first, mention some challenges. These things come up quite often, and they came up 4 years ago when we looked at the applications of our CCRI pilots, fellows. They were all, not all of them, but many of them were talking about the same challenges. So I think, obviously, I'm not saying these pilots have all the answers, but they have been working in this direction. So I put these three challenges, and then we will talk about them a little bit with Mari Nokkan from Municipality of Asker and Elmar Willems from Circle of Flanders. So it's two different contexts. One is a municipality in Norway, and the other one is a region, one of the three regions of Belgium, but they're working on a similar topic. So first, I want to just briefly, mention these challenges that we keep hearing. It's difficult to go beyond pilot projects and move towards systemic structural change. It always stays at the pilot level. It's always the same cities and regions working on circular economy. It's the usual suspects. And also, things are happening a little bit randomly, haphazardly, without concentration. So we can move to the next slide. To recap, both cases are working on circular construction, reuse of reuse of building materials, and I think you both have this pilot project approach and learning from it. So I have a slightly different questions for both of you. First of all, thanks very much for being here. I want to start with Mari. So this is why I put the challenge as well, because I think you're working on a CSS which is trying to respond to this challenge of bringing structural change instead of pilot projects staying as pilots. Can you tell us a bit, based on your experience, what helps with this moving from the pilot and going towards structural change? Like I said, I'm sure it's not perfect, nothing is, but what are the insights that you have? Thanks very much. And of course, you can give a bit of context as well. We are not so pressed for time. We are almost on time, so thanks.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to start with that. Having a pilot project that we like the one we have, it's really valuable because running the pilot project has been important in a way that it has given us the opportunity to test a lot of aspects of reuse, and we have learned a lot through trial and error. And the process has provided our organization with a much clearer understanding of both the challenges and the opportunities. And most importantly, it has made us far more confident. Around the organization, there's not so much fear or, like we have seen that it's possible to do a lot of things, and some things aren't that difficult. And it has made us ready to integrate elements from the pilot into the rest of our portfolio. As wherever I'm working in the department where I have my daily work, we are a public developer doing building projects. So that's kind of my way into this. Second, I would like to emphasize that in our work on trying to get from the pilot to structural change, we have really seen the importance of a dedicated team, a strong political and administrative backing, as was mentioned earlier as well. Yeah, the need for that has really been proven. Because from where I work, I can influence the choices in a certain construction project and in the construction portfolio. We can have specific measures and objectives for that project. But without a broader team and political support, it's impossible to achieve system changes or systemic change. That's what kind of the problem that we have had is that no one has taken the overall ownership of the challenge, and we have remained stuck in isolated initiatives like I'm doing the building project, someone else is working on circularity in some other the other parts of the municipality. So a stronger cooperation internally has been really important. And based on this learning, we have now established a cross-sector reuse group with a formal mandate, resources, and direct access to leadership. And in this group, there are people from several different parts of the administration. And hopefully, this will contribute to further development as we continue the work. Yeah, and I would also like to highlight the importance of setting long-term goals and measuring the impact. During the CCRI process, we have really seen that this is important. We are still working on the exact long-term goals for our municipality, but we are dedicated on measuring the performance and decided upon using a circularity index as well as waste measurements from the building sites as our measure, to get numbers and to measure the performance. So when we start measure, it enables how we can work with procurement and strategic use of procurement. So due to the measurements, we can implement circular principles and demands in all our building procurements, not only for new builds and major renovations, but we are also working on and repair and maintenance of municipal buildings to get circular principles in those contracts as well.
Very, very interesting. From what you're saying, I feel like this pilot to systemic change is more about the internal structures than the project themselves, like having the political mandate, the dedication, the institutional framework, making these enabling conditions. Very interesting. If you have questions, dear audience, please, you can write them in the chat already. Thanks very much. I want to ask Elmar from Flanders the other side of the question. So you're working on this guidance document for municipalities. You want them to be able to do it themselves. I guess this is the idea, if I understand correctly. What helps them to bring these smaller municipalities on board? Because we hear, among ourselves, we hear about the same people all the time and the big cities and so on. What helps to involve also these, maybe the ones who are not always so visible?
Yeah, thank you very much for your questions. So indeed, a couple of years ago, I would also say that the usual suspects in those bigger cities have been involved, and I think the CCRI helped to open this debate and to reach out to smaller municipalities and cities. And we, as a regional authority, also had this concern that we wanted to have the medium-sized and smaller cities involved in the circular transition. So this is a real good question. How can you reach it? How can you reach them to be involved? And I first would like to jump back a little bit towards our initial concept of a policy instrument, of a systemic change that we would like to have seen in this region, because there was a very ambitious and very supportive framework on local energy climate action plans for local authorities. This action plan was actually also heralded and discussed on European platforms, and it was really a good example of how to proceed with the big challenge of climate change and climate adaptation for local authorities. So this framework was quite supportive also for the smaller municipalities, because there were clear goals about climate measures. There were clear means and financial support schemes for those initiatives, and you had a very good network and a knowledge center. And I think this kind of initiatives working on proceeding with the climate challenge also is a good bridge to work on circular economy practices and construction in the built environment. So this was our initial goal, but due to political changes and the evolution in our policies, this framework, this broad framework for all municipalities, was abolished and was stopped. So now we had to choose new channels and to work more on communication and providing tools and inspiration towards all of those cities. We are lucky that we have quite a big, and very engaging community on circular construction, but it was not yet the case that all municipalities actually were working on it. So that was indeed our challenge, and I think we've been helped by the CCRI to proceed in this, and we chose to work with a specific case in the middle of Flanders, which is a smaller size city. They have been receiving support as well from another Horizon project, a European Bauhaus project. But they said, yes, we're now on this track of renovating our buildings and having a closer look on the circular principles. We want more support, and that is what we provided together with the CCRI. So now they have a clear view of what they can do on their scale, in their context, and it's getting clearer and clearer what they can do. For example, with their public library, but also with other buildings that they have. You start with the buildings that you have, and try to see what is necessary to do to get more circular, because you have a lot of own assets, you have a lot of own materials also in public infrastructure. Even smaller cities can make a difference in reusing and recycling more materials for their own buildings and their own public infrastructure. So this is really important, and I think because of the fact that this local energy and climate pact framework was dissolved and was abolished, there was a need to work more supra-local and more one-on-one with those cities. But luckily, we also have a very good, and this is also a very strong recommendation to all smaller and medium-sized cities, to work together with neighboring cities, not directly with the national level, but work with your neighboring cities, work with your provinces and your region, and also with the ecosystem around it, to find solutions for your circular questions. For example, how do we going to take stock of the materials that are in use in our region? And you will have some companies probably joining to exchange knowledge and materials as well for circular construction initiatives. So this is a very good, this is, I hope, a good recommendation. Work supra-local with your neighboring cities, and develop knowledge and develop practices as you proceed.
Thanks very much. I think your case, this abrupt change, let's call it, is important to learn from, because you're adapting to it somehow. Maybe it's a softer approach, and it's true that legal framework would be very helpful. There's still some of it there, I guess. So I just want to ask something. The choice of the small Zurcell, yes, small municipality, is it somehow strategic? Because it also works for others to say, look, this is a small municipality. They are doing it. It's not Antwerp or
it's
Ghent.
not one of the bigger cities. No, and it's really inspiring, and it's really activating similar sized cities to take up this challenge. And they've been really active in their regional context to actually join in with about 14 other municipalities in the region, also with some support of the supra-local building and construction board, CAMPC. So this is a very interesting initiative that is a low threshold initiative to really make a difference on your own scale, because they do not want to compare themselves with Antwerp or Ghent or Amsterdam or Copenhagen. They have their own challenges, and they are definitely moving forward. And we will develop, as a result of the CCRI journey, we will develop a digital building logbook tool to indeed facilitate the maintenance and circular use of buildings in those kinds of cities. So this might be really helpful. And of course, you need some political buy-in, and you need some new rules, and you need knowledge exchange. But at least on the part of the knowledge exchange, I think we're doing a good job in Flanders to really reach out to all of those cities and municipalities to work on circular economy construction principles, because there has been so much available already, luckily, and also on the European level there has been so much available already. So
yeah, no, I mean I agree that it's also maybe a little bit of awareness about these knowledge and resources, but also to make people aware that even a small municipality, like you were saying, they have some assets they can work with. No one has no public buildings, for instance, it's always a good starting
exactly.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so which brings me to my last question to both of you. So circular construction is a lot of practicalities to it, of course. It's a very hands-on subject as well. And there are a lot of tools, we discussed some of them right now, to support this circular construction projects. There are, like you said, logbooks, inventories, passports, product passports, legislation, raising awareness, material storage, inventories, this demolition scans, like you say, we look forward and we try to identify which buildings are going to be demolished soon so we can go and extract materials, labeling, platforms that make people together, buyers and sellers. All of these things are possible to do, of course, but some of them might be more easier than others. So I want to ask both of you, we can start with Marie, what would you recommend to others who are interested in this topic if they have to do something and that something would provide some, quick results to motivate others to follow and say, oh, okay, this is working actually. What can this be?
I think I mentioned goals earlier and measuring, and I think I will recommend, that would be my first recommendation, to set goals and try to find a way to measure. These are connected, of course, as your goal should preferably be something you are able to measure. And it's kind of hard to find a good way of measuring the circularity in construction. But either if you choose to measure CO2 emission, a reduction in CO2 emission due to reuse or reduced waste amount, or as we have done, deciding upon a circularity index. None of them are perfect. Like our index is weight-based, which means that the heavy materials like bricks and concrete has a large impact, but lightweight materials and materials that are of a smaller amount will give little to no impact. So no measure system is perfect, but to start measuring is really something, I would say that's like my first recommendation. And my second recommendation would be to not think too complicated or big. We started this CCRI project with a goal to establish a central reuse center. But we kind of along the process have learned that we don't need to build a large reuse center from the municipality side to get going. We are now more looking into reuse in the municipality as an ecosystem of different solutions working together. Like all of these small initiatives and things that we're putting in are all working together to lift the circular achievements. So if you focus on procurement and ensure a minimum level of reused material in all the projects in the portfolio, that would be a lot easier and give a broader impact than a large amounts in a few projects.
Okay, very interesting.
So, and at the same time, this is really important, is that you will help to build up a predictable demand for reused material. Because when we decided not to build a huge reuse center, it's linked to the important. We have learned that it's important that we are taking the role of being a customer in the reuse market. I think we have been focusing on the supply side a little too much, a little too long. So yeah, we learned along the way that we should maybe rather leave room for private and commercial initiatives to grow and become that. So these initiatives become part of the regular material flow in the construction industry, and that, like, for as a municipality, we can facilitate for private and commercial initiatives, and we can be the most important role we can take is to be a customer and make sure that there is we are a buyer that are not just in one project, that we're doing it constantly, and that way facilitate for others to develop. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So these things that you're mentioning, am I correct to understand they are not very resource intensive in terms of budgets? You know, you can start smaller and work from there.
Yeah, I think that, like, to set goals and start by putting small amounts with low risk, low cost into the project. And if you're doing that in the whole system, in the whole ecosystem of contracts, and when you buy in your municipality, that will have a large impact. And then you will feel like, okay, this is working. You don't have to do the large, like, really difficult parts to start. There's a lot of things you can put in a building project that's quite easy and quite accessible with low cost and low risk.
It really mirrors this also personal approach, right? Build keep it small tasks so that you can face them easily without being overwhelmed. Thanks very much. Elmar, what are your reflections on this question?
Yeah. Well, there is a reflection, a principle that I would like to introduce. It's really start with the things that you have and think about the sufficiency principle. This is not really a tool, but it needs some technical expertise as well to first to formulate a vision and an ambition that you are not necessarily building more or renovating more. You just first look at your existing building stock and your existing built environment. What's happening there? Where can we have more functionalities included? Where can we combine different functions? Where can we actually allow some changes to happen in the use of the buildings to actually comply with the needs of your city or municipality? So this is the first one, and the last year this discussion really took off in Flanders. Like, we already have a lack of space to build new buildings. So if you're in need of housing, or if you're in need of new offices or new schools or whatever, please check and see what's already there. And this is the basic circular principle. Like, we will not build more than we need to, and we will maybe even build less with regard to lessen the environmental impacts of our society. So this is a thing that is really taking off, and you have technical tools to actually make inventories of what is being used or not, and how can we actually use spaces better. And this also relates, of course, to spatial redevelopments of cities and inner cities, which is really important. Also in the case of Roubaix, it was already mentioned. So this is my first recommendation, and secondly, of course, and that's been mentioned also by Maria, it's about circular procurement and including, well, allowing circular innovation to happen within your procurement and your purchasing power. There you can adapt some of the existing recommendations already into your own procedures and try to allow the market to respond to your questions on circularity. But for us, at least in the region of Flanders, there is a quite a big amount of companies that already have circular solutions, either it be material use or adaptability of buildings or other solutions that really help to make your procurement more circular without too much extra cost, because this is the case. You can have some extra cost, but in the end, this building will last longer and you will have a better place to live and to work. So this is our main takeaway for now, that you indeed look at your existing stocks and really look into it critically. And secondly, that you use your procurement tools and adapt them slightly, because there is knowledge available to actually set the ambition higher in procurement assignments.
Thanks very much. I think both of you are making great points. I can't help but noticing it's more about principles and awareness than the tools themselves. The tools somehow maybe are
Well,
easier to
it's
put in
actually
place, but
it's really easy to have tools. We have tools. We have like too
you have
many
to use
tools.
them properly. Yeah.
We did also well, there's also something, we made a tool of mapping of tools. We tried to reach out to circular to those cities and municipalities by mapping the
A meta
existing
tool.
tools, a meta
Okay.
tool indeed. Like if you're completely unaware of circularity, then you use other tools than when you are already have a high level of awareness and you have some technical expertise, then you have access to other tools. And that's what we've done, and that will be also will be published still in the coming 6 months or somewhere. So this is a way to think about it. There are so many tools. It's really about how can we give access to them and make it work for them. And it's indeed sometimes harder to work on the principles and on the ecosystem mapping, and it's working on market acceptance than working on tools.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks very much. Thank you both. It was very nice, and also I think it showcased, the exchanges we have under CCRI and that this community and how nice and varied it is. Thanks very much. And I want to move to the next panel discussion. Our two last guests who have been waiting patiently. I did the same for here. I put 3 challenges. That's more about capacity building and a more horizontal approaches, let's say. So, of course, it's very hard to change people's mindset. There's still limited awareness of benefits of circular economy, and most of the cases we just don't know where to start. So, with this in mind, I want to welcome our last 2 panelists, like I said, Josephine Cataldo from Gothenburg and Lise Hietanen, I hope I can pronounce the surname correctly, from Tampere Regional Council. I can't see Lisa.
I'm here.
Okay, I just don't see you in my view. So you have both working on the next slide, please. By the way, thank you. You're both working on a more, let's say, umbrella approach. Okay, Gothenburg has been working on this circular transition arena, like I explained. And Tampere has this new operational model, circular Pirkanmaa. Well, we will talk about to help really in both cases municipalities making connections and capacity building. I want to start with Gothenburg, with Josephine. So we said it's helping city administrations provide guidance, support to become more circular. Public procurement is one of them, but it's not the only one, if I understand correctly. So this led to a number of changes in your organization. Can you give us some examples? What is the change you're observing? What is the reaction you're getting from the colleagues, basically?
Yes. So I think the participants in the circular transition arena, we have gained them like a broader perspective of what circular economy really means, and also a greater understanding of the transformation we need to do in order to meet the city's environmental and climate goals. So it's not enough just reuse a couple of furnitures, but we need new routines, knowledge, and solutions to make this change. And I think it's been more clear for them. So what we're trying to do is to give them, the city administrations, real hands-on support and good examples on what they can do already today, because we have circular opportunities already in the city. We have circular framework agreements, and we have internal reuse services, but sometimes they don't even know them. So we show them, but we also learn how to use them in a practical way. We have also given them homework to use and try these circular solutions. And that's been good because they have also come back to us with feedback, so we could improve and make it easier to use them in the future. And also what we do in this circular transition arena is that we're focusing on one practical team for 6 months. For example, furniture, workwear, or IT. And we have a meeting every month. So interested city administrations can sign up and join with the cross-functional team. And this is also really important because it's different roles that have different pieces of the puzzles. So they have been really positive because it created new internal collaborations in their organization, and it helped them to like kickstart the work. But also they appreciate that the support is really hands-on, and also that they meet other departments and they got inspiration and motivation because they work with the same questions. So I think it gave them a strength and ability to act and also implement the change in their organization. Because as we said earlier, it's about creating a demand on the market and do this organizational change so we can make this demand.
So to maybe also for the audience, Circular Transition Arena is like an internal unit within the city administration, correct?
Yes, correct, because we are 51 city administrations and 60,000 employees. So it's a lot of people that need to change. So we have an arena for our internal employees, but we also invite our suppliers sometimes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So there's also external people coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. This is interesting. Maybe we'll come back to it. I have a question, but I'm keeping it for later. I want to turn to Lisa because you have been waiting a long time. Thanks very much. But also you had the opportunity to hear from everybody else, so I think that that can be helpful. So we talked about this with you. I was trying to understand what Pirkanmaa, Circular Pirkanmaa is doing. So if I understand correctly, this is having a dedicated team of people who will help municipalities who want to work on the circular economy topics, specific topics, some of them. And you are sort of an entry point, and you make the connection between municipalities and Circular Pirkanmaa, but they already have connections, they already know how to do certain things, and they help them in ways that maybe other people cannot. So you can correct me if I misunderstand, but How does this help to having this dedicated team of people engaging with diverse stakeholders to keep the momentum? Because we always keep hearing, oh, this facilitation, it's all good, but once we stop, no one takes ownership. So does it help with this? And if it's so, how?
Yeah, hello to everybody, and I was happy to wait my turn. It's okay, Tuj. So I think you understood me quite correctly, and I can still make one clarification that because I'm from the Council of Tampere region, we are operating more in a strategic level in the region, and this circular Pirkanmaa you mentioned, they are operating more like operative, concrete level, making concrete actions in the field of circular economy. And what is the difference with the past and present that we actually have this kind of a small task force doing these efforts is, I think the simple answer is that now we have the resource to do the job. And when you said that how they keep the momentum, because usually the ownership kind of drops somewhere, and now it doesn't drop because we have the people who keeps the wheel kind of spinning, so to speak. And of course, in the past and at the present stage, we have still a lot of regional public actors who works with circular economy from different perspectives. But at the same time, those actors have a lot of other issues on their plate as well. So now we have kind of a development center which is only concentrating on circular economy. And I think the added value is that they bring actual operative resources to regional circular economy work, which means that they are piloting different CE actions, creating and sharing knowledge, tools, and of course orchestrating these market dialogues in the field of house building, infrastructure development, and industrial material flows, and also giving concrete support to municipalities in their circular economy efforts. And that has led to the situation that now we have a clear definition of orchestrator and driving forces behind the CE activities in the region. And now we have also clear roles in different public actors who are involved in this circular economy ecosystem in the region. Because previously it was a little bit fragmented and scattered, and now we have come together in a way, and we have this kind of a driving motor or force in the middle. And I think the bottom line here is that as a result of these really concrete, ambitious actions they have done, relentless work, they have gained kind of a trust from the various stakeholders from the region. And because of that trust, I think they are able to drive this systemic change. I think that's the, if I want to say one kind of a tip or a message, that's the kind of a quality of the work, expertise of the work, and then you get the trust, and then you actually can do stuff, and everybody
Thanks.
committed to those.
Yeah. So interesting. So what you're, if I understand correctly, now things are clear in terms of who do you go to, you know, instead of like looking around and random things happening. And because it's long term, people start knowing each other, and then you have this real trust between the people. It's very hands-on, of course. I think this is the difference, right? Like someone like you from regional council maybe will not be able to go into such detail, but the colleagues, the team will be able to. Of course, there's a topical focus as well. I think it's a bit inevitable. I want to ask both of you, it's a similar question. when you think about specifically more like challenges that we haven't talked before already, and how your CSS, let's call them, or your project circular, the circular transition arena and circular pre-comma, how did they help these specific challenges? If you can come up with some more concrete examples, like this was happening and we did this and now it's not happening anymore in that sense. Josephine, you can start maybe.
Okay, let's see. So, okay, in addition to developing new circular routines and guidelines, like for procurement and ownership, how we repair and reuse, and how we make circular disposal, they have also made more practical actions, for example, our preschool administration, responsible for 400 preschools. They noticed that the reason for throwing away tons of functional furnitures was lack of furniture storage, and also like for when you renovate or relocation process. But also the staff at the preschool, they didn't have time or knowledge to handle the furnitures in a circular way. So now, during this process, they have recruited their own reuse manager, and they have also made an agreement regarding storage with our internal reuse service, which also was a collaboration partner in the circular transition arena. So I think that's a great thing about new roles, and they stop throwing furnitures away. But I would also like to mention, as I said before, that we invite our suppliers. So, for example, we had our workwear suppliers, and when they could come and see and meet their customers, and they saw the circular demands and our ambition, they started to develop new circular business models. So, for example, we are soon about to get a circular workwear category in our existing framework agreement. We are also about to get the refurbished phones on our framework. So I think, the most important thing is that we create this platform where different actors can meet, both the doers and the enablers, and that we have time to discuss the difficulties and to come down to the core to find out. Yeah.
This is surprising how many times we hear. It's just sometimes a matter of putting people together in the same room, and see what happens. But what you're describing is very important for public procurement, sort of a pre-market dialogue, giving some signals to the suppliers, and it can be on a smaller scale, like you say, like preschools. This is a very specific group of people who can be working together with the suppliers. Very interesting. And what about Tampere?
Yes, I think I have two kind of a challenges. They have bring kind of a solutions. Another one is also that quite similar, this kind of a pre-market dialogues. Because in our region there is 23 municipalities, and one of them is more or less big, and other 22 are more or less small or medium size. So they don't have the resources or know-how or time to kind of do this kind of new innovative circular economy solutions, although they could have, they actually can act as a market enablers as well, shaping demand through different procurements, land use, different pilot projects, and so on. So in this model, we have Circular Pirkanmaa, who can act as an orchestrator between public and private sector, organizing these market dialogues under different themes. And in these dialogues, private sector can tell what kind of solutions they have to offer at the moment in a specific cases. And then the public organization, usually municipalities, can tell what are the tools that they can use and what are the barriers at the moment they need to overcome. And we have noticed that the municipalities really need this kind of an expert, somebody who is trustworthy, and in order to get more courage to try these new innovative circular economy solutions. And in our actually in our booklet we describe this kind of one case example with the city of Nokia and also Orivesi. And also the other challenge has been with the lack of resources. This is more like not a strategic or political level, because earlier Simo from Helsinki-Uusimaa region already mentioned our national approach to these circular economy Green Deal commitments. But because once again, there are a lot of municipalities, lack of resources, and they need this kind of facilitation to go through this kind of data set in order to be able to choose and pick up the right kind of solutions for them in order to make this Green Deal commitment. And here, Circular Pirkanmaa has developed this kind of a systemic approach or process where they coach or support, how you can say, the municipalities. They organize this series of workshops where they gather knowledge from municipalities and the ideas what they want to do, and once again they bring their expertise on the table, and at the end of the day they will kind of formulate these ready-made solutions that municipality can put into their Green Deal commitment, and as a result they can make this pledge to this and apply this Green Deal commitment. And some of the biggest ones can do it without help in the region, but the small and medium ones really needs this kind of extra support and extra resources to do this kind of efforts.
So you're really acting as an extra arm, I mean, it's also unrealistic, I guess, to expect that suddenly everyone in the administration will become an expert on circular economy. It's just not possible. So you have to bring in the right people. We have 7 minutes left. I hope Ingrid's question about capacity building was at least partially answered. I want to give the floor to Lucy because she's gonna just tell us what's next for CCRI. But I want to thank Josephine and Lisa. I hope every time I say I wish we had more time, but yeah, we also don't want to make people leave late the webinar. So I hope for all the audience that was sort of a sneak peek, to see what it's like to be inside of this community. So you can be a part of it, and then you can learn from it, and also we can learn from all of you. Lucy, what's next? It's back to you.
Yes, that's the big question of today, right? But first, thank you all for this rich discussion. I think it's pretty clear that CCRI is more than an initiative. It's a community, and it's even a movement that continues to grow. So very nice to see, and very valuable insights indeed from all our pilots. So thanks again for that. I think maybe just to summarize, I think under phase 1 we have advanced quite a lot. We have managed to collect tested solutions. We have managed to develop validated methodologies, replicable approaches, and also supported the emergence of investment-ready projects. So we're very proud of this. So what will come next? The next phase is, of course, a lot about scaling what has proven to be working, proven to be successful. So the next phase will all be about replicating or supporting the replication of solutions in more cities and regions. It will also be about reaching even more municipalities that may be still at a starting point of their circular journey. It will also be about strengthening skills and operational capacity with the support of a group of circular experts. We will launch a new support program with a new cohort of pilots, and that will most likely take place in Q2 or 3 of next year. We need a bit of time to prepare this next phase. We will, of course, be supported again with experts to guide you further. There will be more services that will still focus on practical implementations. So as said in the chat earlier, best way for you to stay informed is to subscribe to our CCRI newsletter. If it hasn't been done yet. Also to keep an eye on our LinkedIn profile, because this is where usually we share, let's say, our new support opportunities. Next phase will also be about strengthening our partnerships and support for investment. I already mentioned a cooperation with the EIB Circular Cities Center. It will remain central for improving investment readiness. We will also look for new ways to get more closely with other EU instruments, possibly the EIC, to unlock even more financing, to unlock even more matchmaking as well. There will be more matchmaking sessions which will connect cities, regions, partners with investors, with potential financiers. Because circularity really needs more, not only expertise, but also capital, as we know. We will also be hopefully strengthening the local ecosystems, because circularity works best when cities, regions connect with their SMEs, industry, academy, investors, civil society. I think the examples presented today were a great illustration of this. So we will really try to support practical models like circular hubs, territorial clusters, industrial symbiosis initiatives through matchmaking platforms as well. A key lesson that we have also heard today is that the more you activate and the CCRI support, the more guidance and resources you will receive. So indeed, please do not hesitate to trigger this help button, because the more you do and the more support you will get. Active engagement really can translate into real progress on the ground. You know well our CCRI thematic working groups. They will continue, possibly in a different form. They will continue adapting to your needs. Communities of practice will expand, of course. There are still a few slots left for those who haven't registered their interest yet. So please have a look at our website. Training and mentoring opportunities will grow, and they will include site visits from mentees to mentors to get even more on the ground. And of course, the CCRI will continue to grow organically, responding to your feedback, to your needs. This is how it has been functioning so far, and how it will continue to go. Open calls, for more information on open calls, I already mentioned. Best ways to look at the website. For Horizon Europe funding opportunities, also mentioned in the chat, there will be an info day in January. I can only invite you to join. That's where the CCRI related calls and non-CCRI related calls, of course, will be presented, and that's where you will have a chance to raise your more specific questions. So yes, phase 1 has shown that CCRI delivers. results, capacity, systemic change. Phase 2 will be a lot about consolidation, ambition, scale. CCRI will help you turn ideas into actions. To pilots, I would like to thank you for your courage, leadership. To our partners, thank you for your expertise and commitment. And to participants, thank you for being part of this growing community. Thank you for your interest and for your time today. We really look forward to continuing this journey together, scaling circularity city by city, regions by region. So thanks a lot. Back to you, Tuxe, for the
Thanks
three
very
last words.
much. Thanks you very much. We are almost on time. Perfect. As you heard, the first phase was sort of an experimentation. Now it's really the time to make the best of it. So the first thing to do is to go onto the website and so that you can be informed about what's coming up. We will also, I think, send an email to all of you, maybe this date in January for the information, if it's already set, so you can start from there. Thank you very much to Lucy and all the panelists once again. I think simply without you, none of these events would be possible. And like I said, there will be publications explaining everything we discussed today in more detail, in a more structured way, so you can also learn from these concrete examples. Please go to the website and well, thank you all for participating and have a good day. Bye bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank